Kathleen Lynch. There's 30 minutes in the slot, and I understand you wish to share.
I want to share with Deputy Tuffy, Deputy Morgan and Deputy Ferris, if that's agreeable.
It's been listed as 7.5 minutes each, which will be
Thank you very much.
demanding for the Chair when he comes.
Thank you. I have every faith in you. The past number of years have exposed many institutional failings in caring adequately for the children of the nation. I would like to express my condolences to the family and friends of Daniel McAnaspey, and indeed to all of the other children who have died in the care of the state. His untimely death may perhaps serve to focus our minds on the task of protecting children. Daniel is one of 24 children who have died in the care of the state. That care was delivered by the HSE as agents of the state. We know that many others have gone missing in what is loosely termed the care of the state. Daniel was the second child to be murdered while being cared for by the state. The Ferns, Murphy and Ryan report detailed horrific abuse of children, while the state must take responsibility for that abuse. There are also countless incidents of children being neglected within families who simply are not capable of providing the care that is required. Only last week, the Children's Ombudsman published a comprehensive report which demonstrated how child protection systems and services are failing our children. It is for these reasons that we urgently need to enshrine children's rights in the Constitution and provide our young with the greatest protection and opportunities in life. The need for constitutional reform to protect children has been well flagged by a number of organisations concerned with child welfare. Regrettably, as we know from the past, children are often not listened to, and that is why it is vital to listen to the organisations who do give children a voice and who work tirelessly to ensure that vulnerable children are cared for. In relation to those organisations, their efforts are to be commended. As a nation, we have a duty to ensure that this work is supported in every manner possible, and reforming the Constitution to include children's rights would be a positive step in this direction. With the final Children's Rights Report of the Joint Committee on Constitutional Amendment, chaired by Deputy Mary O'Rourke, and with the involvement of people like Deputy Shatter, Brendan Howlin, Alex White, Vivian O'Kaline, and numerous others who were dedicated to the purpose of producing this report. Could I just say that I have listened to the debate both last night and today and tonight, and I hear again and again and again about the awfulness of what has happened to our children. And by the way, 24 Ceann Comhairle, I reckon, is probably a very conservative number. There's probably an awful lot more children who have died from the lack of care which the state has provided for them. And yet I hear again tonight, this issue is far too complicated to rush into. And you know, when I hear things like that, it means one thing: we really don't care. We don't care. And care is central to this entire argument. Now, what we're talking about here are not children that are loved, that are within families that protect them. We're talking here about vulnerable children. Children who find themselves in circumstances where they cannot care for themselves and where the adults around them are incapable of caring for them as well. That's what we're talking about. And really what we're saying in relation to those is they are not our priority. They're the children of the poor. They're the children who find themselves orphaned. They're the children who find themselves abused. They're the children who find themselves at odds with society and need protection and need care and need help. But we don't care about them. And we'll come in here and there will be another Daniel and there will be another Tracy and there will be another child that will die in the care of the state. And we'll come in and we'll wring our hands and we'll cry crocodile tears. But we don't care, because these children are not our priority. These are the children of the poor. And when it comes to care, and this amendment in relation to the Constitution will only be the start, because flowing from that will be an element of responsibility. Responsibility that we should have now. For instance, who was responsible for Daniel McAnaspey? Who was responsible for him? Whose name is on the front of his file? Who did not take the type of actions that was necessary in order to ensure that he stayed safe? Who didn't call to the house and ask why he wasn't in school? Who didn't call to the house and ask where he was? If this were England, our pagan neighbours, the person responsible for this disaster would be identified and would be held responsible. But no one is responsible in Ireland. No one. Because today you have one social worker, and tomorrow you have another, and the day after you have another. And no one is held responsible. And no one cares. And we'll come in here the next time there's a tragedy, and the next time there's a Ferns report, and the next time there's a Ryan report, and the next time there's a case that we are all wringing our hands in horror at. And we'll stand up and we'll talk again and we'll say the same things. This amendment to our Constitution is not about the majority of children. It is about vulnerable children. It is about children who need our help more than anything else. But in putting this into the Constitution, Count Corla, we will have to do the things that are necessary in order to invoke that particular amendment. Thank you very much. We will have to do the things necessary in order to invoke that amendment. And that amendment will say that children that are vulnerable, children that end up orphaned, we are responsible for. And people that love them, and people that will be able to step forward, will be able to go to the courts and demand that protection. And it is my opinion, that's a very humble opinion, I'm no lawyer and I'm no constitutional expert. It is my opinion that that's the one thing that this government does not want. This government does not want to have to stand up and defend and put in place the type of resources that are necessary to ensure that the poor do not end up in prison, and that the poor do not end up murdered on our streets, or do not end up dead as a result of drug addiction, or do not end up in awful circumstances because they had no choice. That's what this referendum is about. There is more unites us in this House than divides us. More unites us than divides us. And I believe at the heart of every one of us there is a person in there that said, yes, we should do this, because it is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. I commend Brendan Howlin and indeed Sinn Féin for bringing forward this private member's motion. And I would ask everyone, search your heart. And don't come in here the next time wringing your hands and crying crocodile tears, telling us what an awful thing happened, when in fact we could prevent it.